What if I told you that one of the oldest botanical gardens in the Western Hemisphere isn't in Europe or North America, but nestled on a small Caribbean island? The St. Vincent Botanical Garden, founded in 1765, is a living testament to the region's rich biodiversity and centuries of history. But this garden is more than just a collection of plants. It's been a center for survival, resilience, and scientific discovery for over 250 years. Let's walk through its vibrant paths and uncover the stories that make it so special. The St. Vincent Botanical Garden began as part of the British Empire's grand experiment in colonial botany. In the mid-1700s, Britain had its eye on the Caribbean not only for its sugar plantations, but for its potential as a global hub for plants. The idea was to create a garden that could cultivate useful plants from across the empire, medicinal plants, crops, and valuable resources to fuel Britain's expansion. When Dr. George Young, a Scottish doctor, arrived in St. Vincent, he saw a land brimming with potential. The island's rich volcanic soil and tropical climate made it the perfect location to grow plants from all over the world. He envisioned a garden that would serve as a bridge between the old and new worlds, a place where plants from distant lands could flourish. Young's passion for botany was contagious. Soon, the garden was thriving, filled with local and exotic species alike. It wasn't just a place to experiment with plants, it became a vital center for the region's biodiversity. One of the most iconic moments in the garden's history came in the late 1700s when Captain William Bligh, yes, the same Bligh from the famous mutiny on the Bounty, arrived with breadfruit trees from Tahiti. The mission to introduce breadfruit to the Caribbean was no easy task. After surviving a mutiny, Bligh successfully completed his journey and brought the breadfruit to St. Vincent. This tropical tree, with its starchy, potato-like fruit, was seen as a potential solution to the food shortages on sugar plantations. The first breadfruit trees took root in the St. Vincent Botanical Garden, and they're still there today, descendants of Bligh's original cargo. These trees stand tall, their broad leaves catching the sunlight, serving as living monuments to an age of exploration. The breadfruit wasn't just a scientific experiment. It became a staple in Caribbean cuisine, forever shaping the region's agricultural landscape. As the garden grew, it attracted botanists from around the world. One of them was Alexander Anderson, a passionate naturalist who saw the potential of the St. Vincent Botanical Garden as a global hub for scientific discovery. Anderson was a collector at heart, fascinated not only by the exotic species imported from other colonies, but by the plants native to St. Vincent. He carefully documented everything he could find: local medicinal plants, tropical flowers, and even the towering trees that dotted the landscape. But Anderson wasn't just cataloging plants. He was building connections. He exchanged seeds with other botanists around the world, turning the garden into a crossroads of global biodiversity. Through his work, the garden became a place where Caribbean flora stood side by side with species from Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. In 1902, disaster struck. The Soufriere volcano, which looms over the island, erupted, covering St. Lucia. Vincent in ash and lava. The once lush garden was devastated. Trees that had stood for over a century were destroyed, and rare plants were wiped out. For a moment, it seemed like the garden's story had come to an end. But nature, like the people of St. Vincent, is resilient. Slowly, the garden began to heal. Local gardeners worked tirelessly to restore what had been lost. They replanted trees, nursed seedlings, and brought new life to the garden's charred remains. Among them was a man named Samuel, a humble gardener who had spent his life working among the plants. He became a quiet hero in the garden's restoration, refusing to let the volcanic eruption be its end. Thanks to people like Samuel, the garden's vibrant greens and lush foliage returned, and the garden blossomed once again. Today, the St. Vincent Botanical Garden isn't just a place to marvel at tropical plants. It's a sanctuary for endangered species. Take the St. Vincent parrot, for example, a vibrant bird found only on this island. With its multicolored feathers, the parrot had once faced extinction. But thanks to conservation efforts within the garden, the parrot population is slowly recovering. The parrots aren't alone in their sanctuary. The garden houses plants from across the Caribbean, some of which are so rare they can't be found anywhere else. Visitors can stroll through the grounds and feel the heartbeat of nature around them, knowing that this place is a refuge for life, both flora and fauna, that might otherwise be lost to time. The garden is more than just a tourist attraction or a research center. It holds deep personal meaning for the people of St. Vincent. It's woven into the lives of many local families who have passed down stories of working in the garden through the generations. David, a third-generation gardener, remembers walking through the garden with his grandfather as a young boy. His grandfather would point out the trees and plants, sharing stories of how each one had been carefully cultivated. Now, David takes his own children to the garden, passing down the knowledge he inherited and keeping the garden's legacy alive. The garden isn't just a historical site. It's a living, breathing part of the island's identity. As we walk through the garden today, it's clear that its story is far from over. The St. Vincent Botanical Garden continues to play a critical role in conserving Caribbean biodiversity. It's a place where researchers from around the world come to study plants, understand ecosystems, and find solutions to the environmental challenges we face. But it's also a place where locals and tourists alike come to reconnect with nature. Children run through the grassy paths, families gather under the shade of the breadfruit trees, and visitors marvel at the towering palms and exotic flowers. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, whether it's volcanic eruptions or the passage of time, life finds a way to flourish. If you enjoyed this walk through the history of the St. Vincent Botanical Garden, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. There are so many more fascinating stories like this one waiting to be discovered, and I can't wait to explore them with you. Until next time, peace, love, and stay curious, my friends.